We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid if we not on it.
Watch me flex. So I am still on my journey, natural anti-inflammatory, and it's going well. I actually left my house, which I very seldom do for those that know me. Went to Tradarius Jose, otherwise known as operating as Trader Joe's, looking specifically for red fleshed apples. No one in the state of Tennessee is selling these type of apples out loud. So I think I'm going to have to do some research online and get them shipped to me because they are the bomb. So I think I've spoken of the health benefits of red fleshed apples, but I know I've probably missed the peak harvest time and being able to access these apples outside of growing them myself, which I will not do because I have a tendency to kill trees. That's my lemon trees. But we're going to see this year. So the list of available red fleshed apples: Pink Pearl, Pink Sparkle, the Lucy Glow, Thornberry, Geneva Crab, Giant Russian, Winter Red Flesh, Almada, and the Mountain Rose are red because of the high levels of anthocyanins, which are known to improve endothelial function, the vessels of your cells. If you have high blood pressure or hypercholesterolemia, this substance acts as a protective. There's a reduction in inflammation and it modulates your immune system. So these apples themselves, not only are they genuinely beautiful apples, they actually are even sweeter and they also have much health benefits. So I went on a search and seizure mission to access these apples. Lucy Glow apples are not even available anymore, or not available consistently. And again, their peak time was like November, mid-December-ish. So you're not going to find them consistently here in Tennessee, but also especially this time of year, if you do get your hands on some, they're not going to be at the peak sweetness or internally red. So the health benefits, although the health benefits are not any less with which are markedly less with white fleshed apples, the red apples or the apples of color are just more cardioprotective. So I did get the envy apples, juice them up, mix them with my celery and cucumbers, added a pinch of cracked black pepper and pink salt with a little bit of basil and lime juice for preservation of that green color. And that juice combination was off the chain, and I'm grateful that I actually got the opportunity to make that, and it was very good. Also, I've been growing my own vegetables. I am very fortunate and very blessed to be able to have a garden that I purchased inside, and I was able to harvest 2 servings of bok choy, which I put in the air fryer. And this is just another way I found it accidentally, looking for different ways to prepare it. And just adding maybe 3 or 4 ingredients, a little bit of garlic, salt, pepper, and olive oil. And you can actually create crispy bok choy. You got to make sure that you heat it low temperature and keep an eye on it so you won't burn up your leaves. And it actually makes a very good chip. And I'm actually excited about potentially making, because looks like I'm producing a lot of kale, and I'm going to produce my kale chips and just see how that rolls. So there's so much. And then adding that, making a proper bowl, adding that as a side for stir-fried chicken cubes. This is the oven roasted chicken from Tyson. Mixing that up with a little bit of truffle oil, black truffle oil, regular mushrooms, shallots, and then probably not adding as much fish sauce as I did. The meal that I just actually had is energy, and I had some just Pellegrino with some lime, and that's what gave me, more so than a cup of coffee, gave me the energy to be able to get the energy to, produce this podcast. I'm determined. It's later in the day, but I'm determined to produce all segments of it. And that is the type of meal that is a part of my whole anti-inflammatory protocol. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to eat more things like that. As I said in an earlier episode, taking that recipe, creating stir fry with seafood, and you don't have to add a whole bunch of stuff. Be careful on how much actual salt or actual fish sauce that you add, because the saline content will actually increase the taste without increasing your sodium intake and your blood pressure. A lot of this stuff is intuitive and actually tastes good. If you're going to grow your own food, you need to come up with inventive ways to actually create it. And that's the word right there. Welcome to another episode of Survival Guide for Grounded People. I've named this Protect That Peace. This is all about changing the sausage head narrative. What exactly do I mean by that? So, this is when a loved one, usually someone who has had a health crisis or some type of financial crisis, this is the type of people that I'm speaking about. They basically dismiss your logic, your experience, and your care, and they kind of label you as the sausage head, clueless, controlling, and ignorant, because they know what is going on. They completely understand their own body dynamics, and they are offended by you questioning their judgment. This is when it's basically a protective insult on the person that is treating you as the sausage head. Because, for example, if someone won't listen to you about a current health crisis, continuing failing kidneys, etc., then it is dangerous to her plan. So that's why she has to basically relegate you to you. I know my own X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. There's also someone that is, when they feel powerless because they truly do have a terminal diagnosis, or their financial situation is so precarious that they are using their feelings of powerlessness to slap back at a stable person as they try to snatch back a tiny bit of perceived power. It's all about the frontal lobe, somebody. When you're dealing with such like a process of cancer, or when they've gone through gorilla sealing to treat that cancer, couple that with now high stress, poor nutrition, and the executive function in their brain is literally under fuel. They aren't just being mean, they are cognitively unable to process the long-term consequences of their actions. This inflammation from chronic illness can lead for them to be very irritable, personality traits. They're not just stubborn because they really are acting stubborn. Their hardware is glitching. But from somebody like myself, and I've been in this situation, I have found that as a contractor previously, and even when I was just full-on medical doctor when I was in the military, and then after the military, I always had to defend my resume because first most people couldn't understand why a black woman who was at that age, and I was the youngest usually in the practice at that time, why I knew so much as I did. What I must have went to some correspondence course to get it. No, University of Florida, bitch, put some respect on my name. University of Texas, Southwestern, completed residency and board certified since 2000. You better recognize and put some respect on my name, bitch. I don't have to prove that I'm smart or the most smart person in the room. I'm grounded. And that insult should always be in the air. I don't have to prove that I know everything, but I also can know I love you enough to stay calm while you're upset. And when you're ready to calm down and actually have a true conversation, then you holler at me. But other than that, I don't want to hear it. It makes the conversation short and to the point. I can go to sleep and I'm not going to worry about a whole bunch of nonsense. Because that's how I know my body needs to reset. I'm not going to be sleep deprived just because you are. Because you have to get up and go to a job that you despise. You're working the same hours. I worked 35 years ago, so I don't have to do that anymore. You think you can do it 30 years later with your diagnosis? Cool. You do you, boo-boo. That's who that shirt is for. The being more grounded is, and people will actually use that as something and also your success. I always used to feel bad because I always felt that people were trying to count my coins, and they made me feel bad because of my success. I'm literally recording in the third house that I've owned since I actually started making money. I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but when I first got to North Carolina when I was in the military, I actually had purchased a home that I built from the ground up. Then I purchased another home in hopes of that was supposed to be my forever job, but I was never supposed to be in that particular county and continue in North Carolina. Neither one of those houses were going to be my forever home. During the heat of the pandemic back in 2020, within about 45 days, I sold both. And I had been back and forth in Tennessee since 2014. So when I finally truly folded up shop, sold those homes, and moved to Tennessee permanently, that was a godsend to me. I was in a position where not only could I could afford two mortgages, but I actually was able to consolidate into one mortgage to a house that I can see myself being in for a minimum of 20 years, which I think is dope. But when you live in a house that is 100 years old, it comes with trap and a lot of unseen things that you can't see on the surface. Just recently, I had to basically stabilize the retaining wall of where my pool deck, so my pool will not go sliding down the main avenue of where I live. I'm grateful to that. And also out of that, I was able to sell a piece of machinery that I don't need anymore. And I got a great price for it. And I'm going to be able to use that money to resurface the pool deck now. Resurface the pool deck and probably recoat the pool liner and change the tile. But when I tried to tell that to someone in my family, I feel that they are counting how much that cost, and they don't see that as a win, because why can't I give that kind of scratch to them? Number one, I ain't crazy. I think I'm probably worse than Chase, because I'm not giving, or Green Sky, I'm not giving it because you are a big risk, and I'm not trying to give that kind of money to somebody I know that is going to be using it for purposes that don't make a whole bunch of business sense. And it's actually okay that if you're going to, and it's actually okay for me to feel some kind of way when I firmly detect that you basically player hating me, because my financial at this moment in my life is actually good, and it's the best it's been in a decade, because you're taking the moral high ground, because you have a feeling of scarcity where you are viewing my stability as an insult to their struggle. And you're sacrificing and suffering to get something while I'm frivolously upgrading my pool deck. Well, bully for you. You do you, boo-boo, but I'm just basically in the period of my life for stability. I do things that, number one, make me happy, and resurfacing my pool deck that I'm working every day for, this is why. And it also adds tens of thousands of dollars to the value of my home. Everything that I do from here on out is going to add value. I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money for 30 years of being on the grind to something that's not going to add value to me. I'm not going to put anything into this house, and I'm not going to give away my money that doesn't add value to the overall of what I'm trying to live this particular life. I'm not going to pay, I'm giving people dust for their own unrealistic expectation. I'm not going to feel sorry for you to give you gobs of money because of what you really, really want, and you're stuck on stupid. The reality is, anything that I put into this home is my money, my equity, and my responsibility, so my property doesn't literally slide away. Just because someone is projecting that they deserve a home, and you may view my ability to maintain mine as a personal affront, is because they want me to feel guilty for having what they may have lost previously, either through rental or whatever. Between cars being repoed, houses going into foreclosure, and a horrible health situation. That ain't on me. I'm sorry it is me. I'm sorry I don't belong to a janky church that you only get as much as they are capable of, which is nothing. Just because I'm not satisfied with scarcity and being, I set this into my mind yesterday. Some people make hard work look ridiculous or awful, because I believe that if you truly do work hard, you don't have to work yourself into the ground. You can actually work hard and actually get what is you truly need and actually can control. I'm just stabilizing. I'm fixing a retaining wall and updating a pool deck that is actually going to increase the value of this asset and prevent other damage and other stress. While you're trying to buy something while your own personal health is collapsing. You can't fight faith with logic, because that is in itself is a house of cards. So with this, all of these things, stress, obesity, all increase of our increased inflammation and work towards your own self-preservation. This is what I'm going to leave you with. All of these things actually are all intertwined with all of my anti-inflammatory drive for 2026. When you're trying to save, this is about the why you need to set up boundaries. Because there's a cost when you are trying to save someone that doesn't want them to be saved. They think they're saving themselves, they're setting up their legacy, and they do not and will not listen to logic. There are no right words. There isn't a correct doctor's note that will give someone their final wake-up call. When someone refuses to understand you, it's because whatever truth that you're speaking kills the fantasy. If you keep pouring your piece into someone's broken bucket, you'll end up just as depleted as they are. This asset legacy that most people are grinding for is very fragile. Because suppose you do buy a house or a Maybach, and then both of those, the Maybach is going to get repoed, the house is going to get sold to cover whatever massive expenses, or whoever you're doing this for, they're trash too. They're not going to want to keep this up. All of it vanishes in either foreclosure, bankruptcy, or probate court. If you're trying to build a legacy of who you once were, and you will choose a janky, hypocritical church over your own health, You do you, boo-boo. Because I'm not going to be able to support your blind ambition to get an asset when you should be able to focus your energy on building relationships. You basically imagine this: somebody standing at the edge of a cliff and you're holding a rope tied to their waist. You pull with all your might, you get rope burn as you try to you scream instruction, but that person continues to walk off the edge anyways. And they're telling you as they're walking over this cliff, you don't know what you talk about. I know me, I got this. But they're still walking and getting ready to walk off a cliff. If I let go of the rope, it's not because I'm being mean. It's because, and I hate them, and sometimes they make it really hard to like them. It's because I'm not trying to go over the cliff with you. You're not taking me over that cliff. I'm Gucci over here. I'm good right in North Shore, Tennessee. I'm not going to be present and witness your demise in real time because I know how it is on this side of the phone. Does that make sense? I can't be the lifeguard that tries to keep dragging somebody kicking and screaming back to shore because I will get burnt out and I'm going to be mad all the time. And I don't want to be burnt out and be mad all the time because there's places I want to go with my milk mouth dog as well as places that I want to see and ramen I want to eat. But I am okay with being a witness. Now, if you want to stop kicking and screaming and acting a fool, because we in Hanama Bay, girl, it's low tide. Stand up. And then you can walk towards me. But other than that, I'm not doing all of that. I'm tired of broken records. I don't know about y'all, but I'm basically going to pretend, oh yeah. I'm going to say, that's good. Or give some other affirmation, but then I'm going to change the subject because that's how I'm going to be able to protect my peace. You can mention the janky church if you want to, but again, I'm going to change the subject. And no, I'm not contributing any of my hard-earned money to the jankiness. Girl, I'm good. If I have to keep asking you, every time I get off the phone with you, I'm mad. I'm going to start thinking, how much did that cost me? And did I actually help her? That, if it's zero, going forward, the calls are going to get even shorter. Or I'm going to strongly encourage you, just let me know, text me when you get over to the other side. Cool, you on the road? Cool, text me when you get onto the other side. Boop. That means I get to start going to sleep because I bought a brand new robo bed. I'm good now. And it's really great when you don't have to take anything to go to sleep because you don't feel hungover the next day, unless you drink too much vodka, but that's a whole nother story. My personal health and sanity is the only way I'm going to be able to handle the mess of somebody else. So, and that's where this is where I'm going to leave you all. There's a lot of what people show when you are truly the grounded one is basically a defense mechanism. And it could be that you're watching a suicide mission in slow motion because some people are either their brains are fixated or brains are just built where they are fixated on this struggle as their sacrifice to get what they think that they will be their legacy, but that legacy is shifting. What can you say about somebody that if you have somebody that leaves children who basically, for example, my father passed away unexpectedly because he was basically murdered by someone that he raised from a small child. He basically said, after he dies, he said, I'm dead. I don't care what you do. Let the state bury me. And made no moves, even after years of promising first me and then my own sister, that he was going to either change who he left his money to or who was going to be the executor. What I firmly believe, when he told me this, where his papers were, he told me this back in 2003. And he said, I'm going to leave this to you because I know you're going to be able to tell the rest of them, go to hell. I never had any intention that he was going to leave me anything, because when it was all said and done, his home, all of his insurance policies were left first to his mother and then to his eldest sister. My father had about 8 or 9 kids, different women, in addition to the 2 he had with my mother, who he was married to before we ran away under police protection. I've spoken about that in a previous episode. But he never had any intention to leave any of his progeny anything. So don't think just because you thought their intention was to leave you something, just because you took their shit, yeah, you were mistaken. There was never any intent. I'm sorry to break this to you. There was never any fucking intent to basically secure your release. It was only after there was the so-called will was stolen, and then we actually had to work out something before the aunt that he actually left everything to went into care for the state. So that is the tough pill they have to swallow. Also, that his actual legacy is the true and factual relationships he left behind. He was spoken well of from the insurance person even to the drug-addled neighbor. But what is the relationship or lack thereof he actually had with his natural kids? And how poorly did he actually treat all of us? That is that legacy. But a legacy built on material things is really no legacy. And think about that. It's easier to obtain a material legacy, but it's fleeting. So all everybody's going to remember is she got her second house that also probably may have went into foreclosure and had to be sold. But what is the lasting relationship and she's built? What are the strength of her kids? What are they doing? What are the relationships she has with the rest of her family or their family? What are they doing? Will anybody remember you? Will anybody remember you for your work, your worth? And is your work or your worth more than what you are? If you always bring such heaviness and funk, people are not going to remember you, and they're not going to go out of their way to give you props. Sorry. That's the reality. The downside is I want my legacy to be built on something more than what I can monetarily leave for someone. Case in hand, whatever I have left, small amounts are going to be given to some family members, not to all. The majority is going to give to the rehousing of my dog if she out survives me and to the rescue mission that provided me to her. Everybody else, y'all can kick rocks. I don't see surviving this next chapter of my life being in pain and with inflammation. Systemic stress causes or is indicative of systemic inflammation. When you feel stress, basically that's chemical wildfire. When you are in a high conflict rope pulling situation with a loved one who refuses to listen to reason, in my body, that triggers an inflammatory response. This is all science, y'all. Chronic stress spikes cortisol, which triggers pro-inflammatory cytokines. When you're already dealing with a health crisis, this is actually adding gasoline to that existing fire. But of course, the person that's going through this type of fire, they're not going to want to listen to that. But this is for everybody else that's trying to reduce the stress in their life. But here we go. Also, weight control is not about just looking good. It's also about peace control. Because when you are about controlling your peace, this reduces the emotional friction that keeps your nervous system in a state of high alert inflammation. When you stop arguing with someone that tries to make you feel like a sausage head, you're not giving up. You're just lowering your own C-reactive proteins. I can't control anybody else's health, their bank accounts. I can only control my own inflammatory load by not entering into the stress ring. Controlling my peace is biologically necessary. Emotional boundaries is an act of systemic anti-inflammation. That's why I cannot pour water on someone else's fire if I'm already burning up from the inside. Weight control and peace control are two sides of the same coin. They are both life-saving efforts to lower the heat in my own body so I can stay standing. This is my own personal biological intervention. I'm basically choosing my peace, and I'm not going to be able to ride like Thelma and Louise over the cliff with you, girl. You need somebody to remain healthy from a financial standpoint and from a healthy standpoint to pick up the pieces for your inevitable cliff dive. And you can't be mad at me for basically trying to protect my peace and lower my cortisol, child. Get out my face with that mess, as I always say.
From the bottom, now the marathon's begun. They try to box me in, try to weigh me down, but you can't keep a queen when she's headed for the crown. I took the stones in through and I built a staircase, running
that
at
is
speed,
one of my release songs, Higher Ground. I actually released this back in like the beginning of March. And it's one of those songs. I guess it's great for Sunday because I'm talking about standing tall in spite of adversity and a lot of adversity that I did not add for myself. So I hope you enjoy this and let me know if you want what other subjects you want me to sing about or my assistant to sing about, and then we can talk about it on this episode of Tim Fro is Reading. Or actually singing, y'all.
But I'm 10 steps ahead while they're refiguring out who pace gets slower. Oh, I'm rising up, I'll stand tall. With the power and the spirit, I will never fall, never fall. Overcoming every mountain, breaking every chain, finding all my glory through the fire and the rain. Power, I've got the power in me. Finally walking in my victory. Oh, and take it. Oh, take it.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Ways to know and ways to grow, a temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. I have the pleasure to continue my exploration of the Star Trek universe. I'm going to be leaning heavily for the next several months into celebration of all things Trek, because this is the 60th anniversary of the original series. I'm actually reading a great book, Federation, by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens, where they basically take a deeper dive into the dynamics of the beginning of the Federation, or actually the beginning of Warp Drive, starting with Zephyr Cochrane, and then a mashup with Next Generation Picard. The first thing I read is like the first actual chapter is we're introduced to Andric Thorson. Now, last week I did a deeper dive into the Wrath of Khan, and actually the trilogy, Wrath of Khan, Finding Spock, and then Way Home. In this, I realized just how close Thorson is to Khan. Andric Thorson is a leader in this optimum as the logical conclusion of the eugenics war. Khan was the primal version of perfection, strength, charisma, and a conqueror's instinct. He wanted to rule. Thorson is the bureaucratic version of perfection. He wants to optimize, categorize, and cleanse humanity into a singular, efficient machine. He seems to be pre-Borg, not a mashup of the synthetic and the human, organic. He is truly, Thorson is pre-Borg. This is an antithesis to what Roddenberry meant about monoculture. He assumed that once we have enough replicators and transporters, we'll all be naturally want to be better. The Stevenses argue that the drive for perfection is actually a bug in our code that leads to fascism, the Optum, or the Borg in the extreme, if it's not balanced by the chaotic, messy genius of someone like Zephyr Cochrane, someone that is flawed but still human. Or like me, or even Cisco's dad, who actually had a restaurant in the French Quarter in New Orleans and wished to never use a replicator. He taught Cisco and even Cisco's sons to cook, because growing your own food, making your own food, resisting, this was his form of resistance. But I digress. Michael Brack is the billionaire. He is the ultimate tech bro. He isn't altruistic. He's a species level egoist. He funds Cochrane because he wants humanity to survive long enough to produce someone worth talking to. He is the trash billionaire archetype. He represents the idea that extreme wealth and power often lead to a God complex, where you stop caring about individual humans and start caring only about humanity as an abstract concept. Christy Walton, Mackenzie Scott, they all are current day where they're all billionaires, but they actually use it for the good. Mackenzie Scott gave away billions. Christy Walton is Sam's daughter, who basically is building an art colony medical school down in Arkansas. But this is a power paradox that seems to be why-oriented. There are studies that show power itself is not necessarily gender. Damages the prefrontal cortex's ability to mirror emotions. The more power a person gets, the less they need to read others' feelings, because it doesn't matter. High testosterone can correlate with a lower cognitive empathy and higher risk-taking. In a capitalist system, that reward disruption and crushing competition is a biological trait often selected for and amplified. And also is socialization. In our society, we raise X chromosome individuals to be the relational glue of society, while Y chromosome individuals are often raised to view life as a leaderboard. It just seems to me that the Y chromosome predisposes people to be stupid. Kinda. You're predisposed to isolation. The Elons and the Bezos of it all live in feedback loops where no one tells them no, where they combine that with a biological drive for dominance, and they basically end up like Locutus. They become assimilated into their own egos, and this can actually happen even with women, because I've seen it personally. The women, the exes and the daughters of, come into their wealth or influence from a position of an outsider status through life experiences that require more social cooperation. That keeps the empathy circuits from burning out. So when you look at something like this book, which trips me out, it has to be a male entity like Zephyrin Cochrane that actually is this savior. He's a drunk, he's a mess, definitely not optimal. He succeeded specifically because he wasn't a billionaire trying to fix the world. He was just a guy trying to build a faster engine. But then you got people like Sisko's father, Joseph Sisko, who basically defines himself by service and his craft rather than by scale and accumulation. If modern billionaires are trying to automate the human experience to gain a God complex, Sisko is the antithesis of that. He refuses to even use a replicator because he believes the soul of the work is in the labor itself. He rejects scale. Labor is fulfilling. As far as he's defiant of the security state, he refuses to be managed. That's why when they tried to impose martial law to protect it from the Borg or Dominion, he was the first to rebel. He didn't want to give a blood sample not because he was a traitor, he just wasn't trying to be managed by nobody. And further, he passed along generational wisdom instead of in a non-Ferengi or a non-capitalistic society. He represents resistance. He says that a bowl of jambalaya may be made by hand is more perfect than any type of billion-dollar algorithm. He's the why to the billionaire's how. So I have a lot to be thankful for, but I also have a lot to look forward to in my upcoming weeks as I digest Federation, and then I take a deeper dive into, because I didn't know this, but the Millennium is actually a series, basically another trilogy, where book 1 is the fall of Terok Nor, book 2 is the War of the Prophets, and then book 3 is Inferno. This is like a summation of basically DS9 and how I'm going to be focusing in on that series. Another of my latest releases, Lies Are Just Lies, by me, an AI assistant. This is about a cheating brother or sister or other. Now you're trying to re-explain or mansplain why you're tripping. And then you're going to gaslight me into thinking this type of behavior is acceptable and I should accept crumbs. Nah, bruh, you better accept me walking out. I'm paying dust to lies. And I think this is how most people should think of horrible relationships and just get on with it. Sometimes you can do bad by yourself, and or you can be happy by yourself too.
But the frequency is off. You're between the lines. Find it at your location off. Thought you played it so smart, but you left out the pieces that was falling apart. Check the receipts and the math wasn't matching all of those feelings. No, I wasn't catching just a lead in a play that you wrote in your head. But I'm flipping the script, leave the rest of it unsaid. But lies are just lies. Ain't nothing new to me. Keep that same energy with your dishonesty. Cause the truth is the truth, and that's all I need, yeah. Lies are just lies, that's right. And I'm moving on to better things. Now, you blowing in my line, trying to re-explain, but there's no room for static inside of my brain. You were selling me dreams on a budget of zero, lifting up nothing and playing the hero, but the 808 stuck and it's drowning you out. I don't need a second to sit here and doubt. If you saw me, you made me and gave me a chance. I'm too busy following the rhythm of the dance, but lies are just lies. Ain't nothing new to me. Keep that boy, you're just a scene. But lies are just lies. Ain't nothing new to me. Keep that same energy with your dishonesty. Cause the truth is the truth, and that's all I need, yeah. Lies are just lies, that's right. And I'm moving on to better things.
You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. Ah, 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 What, y'all, what?